Hi, Mark Muirs here, and today I'd like to talk about something that I don't hear too many people speak about when they talk about healing, and that is what I call relative versus absolute healing. Now, I need to talk a little bit about philosophy and some metaphysics before we get started here. Now, I'm a student of something called A Course in Miracles, and many of you are familiar with that. But for those who are not, A Course in Miracles is a book. It's actually 3 books. It's about 1,300 pages. And the book was channeled to a woman in New York City. She happened to have been a psychologist at Columbia Hospital. In 1965 it began and carried on for over a period of 7 years. And the individual that identified himself as the source of the material identified himself as Jesus. So it was basically a clarification of the teachings of Jesus. And A Course in Miracles is quite an elegant piece of work. Much of it is written in iambic pentameter, and some of it sounds actually Shakespearean, but it's just beautiful the way it's written, and brilliant in the wisdom that it provides. And A Course in Miracles has something in common with a couple other philosophies, and that is Hinduism and Buddhism. And that is that this world that we live in, and the entire universe, the physical universe, and everything in it, is an illusion. It's actually a dream that we're projecting from our mind. And that's important to understand, because once you accept that, well, the world becomes a much easier place to get along in. We don't have to take everything so seriously. The other thing that these 3 philosophies have in common is that the end of all suffering, and that includes physical disease, is the awakening from this dream. The Hindus and Buddhists call it nirvana when they are awakened, and in A Course in Miracles it's referred to as the atonement, or waking from the dream. And basically, when that occurs, the entire illusion that we've been living in pretty much disappears quite quickly. Sometimes for some people who reach that point, it may go on for a few years where they're enlightened yet still in a body, or it may be a very short time when they leave their body. But at any rate, once they wake up, they have gone back to what the Hindus describe as union with the Supreme Being. So this reuniting with God, if you will. And when that occurs, there's no more suffering, no more disease. You go back to being basically as God is, and that is pure love, pure joy, all perfection, eternal. You've always been, and you will always be. And the dream that you came from basically evaporates, just like a dream when you wake from sleeping. The dream is no longer real. You realize it was just something that your mind had created, and there was no real reality to it. And the same is true for this world. So that awakening, that enlightenment, is what I call absolute healing, because that is genuinely absolute healing. There's no additional healing that will ever be required once you've attained that place. And I believe that we are all going to that place. I'm quite certain we are, and all the great teachers have said that we are, and that we will all reach that point at a certain time. One of the other interesting points that Buddha made, and also Jesus in A Course in Miracles, is that none of us can actually have 100% awakening until everyone does. And the reason for that is that there is only one. There's the illusion that we are many people, currently 7 billion people in the world, but it's actually one mind projecting into this multiple separated egos. And so where we're going is quite beautiful and quite lovely, and we're all on this journey together. Now, relative healing would be all the other things. You know, the work that I do is called reconnective or reintegrative healing. And that's actually referring to reconnecting and reintegrating with your higher self. That part of us that is already connected to its divinity. And as we do that more, we get ourselves closer to that place of enlightenment. But also included in relative healing are the physical healings that happen for people and emotional, mental healings. So as we journey on this path together toward this awakening, I'm very appreciative to have you on the journey with me. And so thank you, blessings to you, peace, and namaste.